moving on to the case study, what we want to do is understand what does it mean to look at capacity. And the idea is that between the two variances that we discussed earlier, we have our fixed overhead production volume variance. That's what I'm going to go over now in this case study. And then we have our fixed overhead spending budget variance. Now, first of all, the fixed overhead spending budget variance, that is regarding the actual overhead versus what we budgeted. So that's just a flat number variance. This one stems from managers failing to include additional expenses in the budget, such as property taxes on factory buildings and equipment, or purchases of new equipment that creates unfavorable spending for fixed manufacturing overhead. Now, for the other one related to fixed overhead production volume variance, this is what I want to go over here. So this is the one, and what we want to understand here, how unused capacity affects our business operations. We want to measure the capacity that is available overall and price the unutilized piece. This will allow us to make strategic decisions to improve business performance. So, for example, with this chiropractic business, we're looking at overhead, right? And say I have 65,500 of overhead. I have rent as 40,000, insurance is 12,000, equipment is 10,000, utilities 3,500. And this is my sort of operations picture this year. So I'm looking at 18 treatments per day, $70 I'm charging per treatment. My revenue per day is $1,260, and there are 240 business days a year. Now, looks like revenue per year is going to be $302,400. Treatments per year is 4,320. So I sent this spreadsheet to you guys, and I want you guys to play with it to see exactly how this works. This is going to help you to do the homework quite expeditiously. So, what I'm looking at here, the whole idea of this type of variance, where we figure out the fixed overhead production volume variance, is that we're looking at an activity to measure the allocation of overhead. So in this case, I'm looking at treatments, because I calculated how many treatments I have per year based on how many I have per day. So treatments per day, and then I have treatments per year. So given this situation, I'm saying, okay, my total overhead is 65K. So what's the overhead per treatment? It's just the 65K divided by 4,320. Now, that's my budget. Say this is what I am intending on doing. I thought that I'm going to do 18 treatments per day. And, altogether, this is how much I'm going to make based on that. Now, say what happens is, first of all, that we have a different type of volume that occurs all of a sudden in one scenario. Say I'm doing only 16 treatments per day, so that results in 3,840 treatments per year. Now, let's see, how do I apply this overhead? So what I'm doing is I'm applying this overhead. All I'm doing is I'm multiplying that 15 times the number of treatments a year. So as you see here, since that was my full capacity, or that's what I thought I was going to do, I didn't really allocate all the overhead. Because the idea is that I actually had less treatments, so there's unused capacity. There's unused capacity. And the idea is further illustrated in this one, where if I'm having 24 treatments per day, 5,700 treatments per year, a lot of treatments, I'm applying overhead of 87,000. So I'm applying too much. In other words, I'm having more allocated than I actually spent, which is good for me. Because like, oh wait, this should be more expensive. I should have been spending more on rent. Maybe we need to get more space. I don't know yet. So that's something we need to analyze.